Hey everybody, welcome back. We are getting ready to do a movie reaction. This one is to one I've been wanting to do for a while, and it's time for me to take a break and sit down anyhow, so I figured we'd go ahead and do it. I've been working in the basement some more, getting very close to having things set up. The paint station is almost finished, and then you guys can get a tour of everything, and I can start working on some paintings so that they're ready in about a month to be able to post the videos. I have to wait so long for the paint to cure before I can varnish it, and I've found that the varnish makes the colors pop a little bit better. So that's why it's going to be a while before I get any of those up. But in the meantime, I've got some movies. So this one is called Adam, His Song Continues. And this is actually about Adam Walsh. If you grew up in the 80s, then chances are you know this story. It's been a while since I've heard anything about it. So if I remember correctly, it was all over the news. It freaked my mom out. If I remember correctly, Adam had been kidnapped and they were looking for him, couldn't find him. And I think it was 3 days later, they found his body in on the side of the road gutter, and he had been decapitated. I think that's all the same story. There were a couple of other events that had been happening at around the same time. I think a different one was another kid who had been taken from the mall from the parents. You know, they had turned their backs. Next thing they know, the child is gone. The guy had taken the kid into the bathroom. It was a little girl, if I remember correctly. Had her cut her hair so it was more boyish looking, had her change clothes, put a hat on her, and walked her right out of the mall. And I can't remember the family name on that one, but I remember that situation. And of course, there was some other stuff going on all around that time period. So my mom was freaked out by Adam Walsh's situation, made us watch the television series. I can't remember if I think it was just self-help tapes, but she made us watch How to Raise a Street Smart Child. And so my sister and I had to watch that. We had our safe word. So if somebody was picking us up, they had to know what the safe word was in order for us to get into the vehicle with them, all that kind of stuff. And of course, as a kid, you roll your eyes and you're like, Mom. But with all the danger that's out there, I don't, looking back, I don't blame her for wanting to do all this stuff to try to keep us safe. I have a friend who is retired from the SBI, and part of his work, and he still does this work, he works as a consultant now, is that he works with other law enforcement agencies and other agencies in the community all around the world on stopping child trafficking, cyber cyber child crimes, all that kind of stuff. So that's my background, and that's why I'm interested in this story. And I thought I would do a reaction to it. These are a little bit harder because real life dramas, you kind of get into them and you forget about reacting. So hopefully I'll remember to talk enough and comment enough, and it won't be too boring. But anybody who grew up in the 80s that remembers the 80s, they should remember Adam Walsh. And his father, I can't remember his first name. Is it Joe? Joe Walsh? Was the host of the TV show FBI's Most Wanted and a couple of other crime shows. And after what happened to Adam, he made it his mission to try to help law enforcement in solving these crimes and stuff. So that's all I know and remember. And let's go from there. Now that Pretty's comfortable. So it was 1983.
No, it's never over, John.
John Walsh. So this is after the fact. And I guess I should have read the little caption thingy. So this movie actually came out in 1986. The original movie that they're talking about sounds like it came out in 1983. After their child was abducted and murdered, John and Rev Walsh fought to raise national awareness on the problem of missing children. So I didn't realize the film was this old. So that's good to know also. And I haven't seen the first movie then, so I'm watching these out of order. I will have to look and see if Netflix has the original one on here as well. But I don't know the story afterwards, just that John became an activist of catching the bad guys. I wonder if this is from the original movie. I don't do well when other people cry. I knew this was going to be a hard watch for me.
But until every state in the country keeps track of every missing child and then lists those children in the FBI computer, we will never know how many children are missing in this country.
I think it's the Missing and Exploited Children database.
Tool. Artist Tool.
Where is he? In this building?
He's already in prison.
I can't remember.
Arson.
I'm trying to remember. I remember somebody confessing, but I think they decided that the person couldn't have done it, was just trying to make a name for himself or something like that. Although I don't know why they would do that for a child abduction and murder, because people who hurt children tend to be at the bottom of the barrel in the prison system. But for some reason, I'm thinking that the guy who confessed to it wasn't the one who actually did it. And I don't know if they've ever caught the murderer.
Well, he's just confessed. I mean, first they have to verify the confession.
I'm still thinking that the guy who confessed didn't actually do it. But I could be mixing it up with other cases. And I don't think they ever found his head. I understand needing to get the story, but a lot of times the media goes too far.
Look, this is all going to calm down pretty soon, I'm sure of that.
I think legally they're not allowed to be on their lawn if they're asked to go away. Or in their driveway.
Gator, Jay Howe.
Jay, I'm sorry. I thought you were one of
I know, I just saw him.
He was in everything back then.
Crazy around here.
I don't know his name off the top of my head, though.
Here.
You know what? Come to think of it, I will take a cup of coffee.
Maybe they're the ones that started the Missing and Exploited Children organization.
Point by point by point by point, we will have to relive every moment, his last screaming moments.
She's got a point.
Mr. Walsh, don't you think we might be scaring our children?
We teach children how to cross the street safely. We teach them
I
what
think
to do.
Adam and I were the
We
same
teach
age.
them how to act in all kinds of emergencies. They have a right to
I might be
know what
wrong.
to do
I'll
if
look
they
that
feel
up.
that in
I've had to do background checks
I
for
think the best thing the two of you can
all
do
of
is
my
get away
jobs that
from
I've had.
Congratulations. Thank you. It's great. I'm really happy for you.
Second time he's lost his breath.
Ice cream?
You know, the pictures on the cartons would be a great promotion for the dairy itself, and they could help find a lot of kids.
It was a big thing at the time, doing the missing children on the milk cartons.
Mr. Walsh there. First of all, fingerprints should be done professionally.
Mom took us
said
in to have
yes,
our fingerprints
sunflower
done
berry
and
first pictures
everything.
with the next batch of cartons.
3 years ago,
Was
when
it
Adam
Reagan
was
that
missing,
was president?
we always reach out after our women and children have been
I
raped,
forget what the database was
molested,
called
gone
for
missing,
this program that my mom had us do.
This center, let me make one thing very clear right off.
Maybe it
Because I
was
don't
just
want people
called
going
Children's
home thinking
Fingerprinting
that these
Program,
fingerprints are going to make
but I thought it
the
was
children
something
safe.
more than
That's
that.
all.
The pictures in the cartons are scaring the children. They're giving them nightmares.
If you've ever watched Lost Boys, you'll notice they have the missing children thing on the milk carton in that movie. And I was trying to think, there's other movies that they've done it in, just to show you how popular it was in the 80s to use that method to try to find children. Nowadays, social media is much more popular, so.
Believe what you want. I'm telling you, he's a happy, healthy 8-year-old doing wonderfully at school. He has a two-wheeler, lots of...
There's some sick people out there.
The guy had 10 counts against him. The judge dismisses 9, gives him probation on the 10th. You believe that? Probation.
My friend sees a lot of that with domestic violence cases.
Free, so he can wreak his special brand of havoc on the young people of our community. We hope the electorate of this city will take note.
He's putting a target on his back.
I can't miss this plane. I'm supposed to be in Washington tonight for my brother's birthday.
John, just for a few minutes. The girl saw Adam, and when she heard you were in town, well,
He's going to miss
it was
the
the most
plane.
positive.
Because otherwise he will have won. Is that what you want?
A little bit too aggressive an approach. But I also realize it's a movie
Sorry, I missed
setting
the plane.
as
I'll be
well.
home tomorrow.
To be cross-examined by you.
Great.
Okay, would you state your name?
Edgar Milton.
Mr. Milton, you told the court that you were raped.
There's a popular story, I don't know the best way of putting it, the story of Mr. Smith, and it's about him robbing a bank. And so these are the prosecutor's questions the defender's questions to Mr. Smith about why did he allow himself to be robbed. And it's done in the style of the same way that rape victims are attacked when they take the stand, and the defending attorney cross-examines the rape victim. So I don't know if that's kind of along the same lines what he's getting ready to do, but that's a popular thing.
Is your wife here in the courtroom today?
She is.
Would Mrs. Milton please step forward? Thank you, Mrs. Milton. Here in clear view of the court. Thank you. Mr. Milton, prior to the rape, had you had any homosexual experiences?
I had not.
Oh, I don't mean just as an adult. I mean back to your boyhood, your childhood.
I had not.
Well, I won't pry into the variety and number of those experiences for the sake of your lovely wife.
I object.
Objection overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor. But I would like to delve into your sexual life with your wife.
That actually was a very good demonstration.
You know how to be the life of the...
Too much. You cannot do it all alone.
Who says I'm doing...
I'm wanting to say that I think when a marriage loses a child, I don't want to say a lot of the time, but I don't know what the statistics are, but my guess would be at least 50% of marriages don't make it when they've lost a child. So having lost a child and now going on this endeavor of helping missing children and abused children, exploited children, you can see the toll that it's taking on the marriage now. I wonder if there's going to be a problem with the birth. We're getting an intimate look at this.
Should have the credentials. You sure do.
Oh, fantastic. Did you see that?
Squirted him. She's got a smile on her face. Sounded like it was unanimous. I'm getting teary-eyed again.
Nothing's wrong. We got it. We won Alabama.
She waited a while to tell, or he waited a while to tell her. He's got some syncope going on.
Looks like Otis Toole won't be tried after all. I don't think they
Forgot
have
about
much
him.
to charge him with at this point.
She's going to tell him to get back out there. Looks like Megan.
He was only gone 8 hours. He wasn't really missing. You don't have to be decapitated like Adam to be missing.
Wasn't sure if they were going to give that
What
detail
hell Stacy
away.
may be going through right now. What Adam must have.
John, we...
They find Stacy. Didn't find her alive. It's going to end there.
On February 14th, 1986, Stacy Jazvac was found murdered.
So, my voice always cracks when I cry. Adam and I were the same age, which is probably another reason why it freaked my mom out so much. Doesn't look like the first movie is on Netflix. So the guy that I said is in everything, but I couldn't remember his name. It's Richard Mount Maester, but he's been in a lot of movies. So it looks like the same actors in this movie were also in the original movie Adam, which came out in 1983. So it must have come out. They said Jessica or Stacy in that movie we just watched died in February of 1986, and the movie came out in 1986. So it must have come out towards the end of the year. And I imagine it was similar with Adam. Right? That one came out in 1981, didn't it? So it doesn't look like there are any trivia stuff in IMDb, but I did want to look up John Walsh. I was trying to remember the names of the shows that he's been on. For the record, this is what John Walsh looks like. So you may have seen him on some TV shows. This is a picture from America's Most Wanted, not FBI's Most Wanted, America's Most Wanted. Let's see. He's also done, I think there were a couple of other shows. Okay, America's Most Wanted was from 88 till 2011. He also did Wrongfully Accused, which was a film, and he played himself. And in 98, he also did The Wonderful World of Disney Presents Safety Patrol, which was a made-for-television film, and he starred himself in that as well. Summer of 81 was when Adam was killed, abducted from a Sears department store at the then named Hollywood Mall across from the Hollywood police station. Revy had left Adam in the toy department at a model video game console when she looked for a lamp. When she returned several minutes later, Adam was missing. Police records in Adam's case released in '96 show that a 17-year-old security guard instructed 4 boys to leave the department store. Adam has been thought to be one of them. 16 days after the abduction, his severed head was found in the drainage canal 120 miles away from his home. The rest of his body was never found. Okay, I had that switched. So they found the head, never found the body. Many names have been mentioned in connection to the case since the murder, but detectives kept returning to that of serial killer Otis Toole. John Walsh had long said he believed that Toole, a drifter, was responsible for the crime, saying investigators found a pair of green shorts and a sandal similar to what Adam was wearing at Toole's home in Jacksonville, Florida. In January 2007, deceased serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer fell under suspicion for the murder of Adam. I think I remember that also, but that one's not as strong as Toole's. This speculation was discounted by Walsh in an America's Most Wanted statement in 2007. Toole, the prime suspect in Adam's abduction and murder, died in prison in '96 while serving a life sentence for other crimes. The Hollywood Police Department officially identified him as Adam's killer in December of 2008, and the case was considered closed. Over the years, Toole had twice confessed to the killing, but both times he later recanted his admissions. In addition to the Walsh murder, Toole had claimed responsibility for hundreds of other murders, but police determined that most of these confessions were lies. So just a little bit of information there. Wonder if I can figure out who the other child was that was abducted. There's no way for me to figure it out of the other case that I was thinking of. See some hair sticking up. Unfortunately, child abductions, either for sex crimes, murder, sex trafficking, child trafficking, there's still just way too much of it. And technology today has made it even easier for these abductors to do these things. There are courses out there on how to do safety with your children, internet safety, safety physically, all that kind of stuff. You just have to ask and see. I don't know if police departments still do the fingerprinting and that sort of thing for children, but I know when I was a kid, they pushed for every child to be fingerprinted and so that their records would be with police in case anything happened, just as they said in the movie. I was trying to think, can't remember. I think it was the pedophile who was going to run for Congress or some kind of public official position. Let me see if I can find it. And actually, okay, so here's the article. Nathan Larson, who admitted to being a pedophile or being a pedophilia advocate during a 2018 campaign run, was allegedly caught trying to transport a girl across the country. He started talking with her. Let's see if it details it. An ensuing investigation revealed she may have been coerced into running away with an older man, later identified as Larson, whom she met on social media in mid-October, according to the Fresno County Sheriff Department. This is out in California. It was later found, let's see, Larson had convinced the girl through manipulation and grooming to send him pornographic images of herself over the last 2 months. Then, on the morning of December 14th, around 2 a.m., he convinced the girl to sneak out of her Fresno home and travel to an airport with him in a rideshare vehicle. Once at the airport, authorities said Larson instructed the child to wear a wig to alter her appearance and to pretend that she was disabled and unable to speak to ensure that she would not speak to anyone as they boarded a plane to Washington, D.C. Investigators determined Larson's travel itinerary and during the flight's layover in Denver, located him and with the girl and placed him under arrest. The child was uninjured, and arrangements were made to have her reunited with her family in Fresno later that day. Larson was booked into the Denver County Jail on a misdemeanor charge of harboring a minor. He faces additional felony charges in Fresno County for kidnapping, child abduction, soliciting child pornography from a minor, and meeting a child for the intention of sex. A search warrant was carried out at Larson's Virginia home, and electronic devices were taken into custody. During the search, Larson's father, 69-year-old Arthur Larson, allegedly assaulted a Homeland Security investigation agent, leading to his arrest on assault and battery charges. I haven't followed up with that. I imagine that probably got dismissed because he's 69 years old and probably didn't know what the hell was going on. If he did know what was going on, then hopefully they didn't drop the charges. Authorities are warning that there may be other victims out there and have implored parents to monitor their children's internet usage, be aware of the computer programs they are using, and to keep the dialogue open with their children in order to build trust. Due to the sophisticated nature of how Larson groomed this Fresno girl, detectives believe he has victimized other children in the past, but those cases have never been reported to law enforcement. And this article is from December of 2020, so not that long ago. It's a despicable topic. It's horrifying what may have happened to these children. Even though I know a lot of the hello, you can kind of see her. Even though I know some of the pathology, it still just boggles my mind. Some of the stuff that goes on. The Sandusky scandal that happened at Penn State, that is something that I talked a lot about on Facebook. A lot of people were condemning Joe Paterno, and according to the information that was revealed, he did everything that he was required to do. And something I say, could he have done more? Of course. Did he know to do more? Did he not know? That we'll never have the answers to. She's trying to get in my lap. She's like, why are you leaning forward? I knew Joe Paterno more for being my grandmother's neighbor than for being the Penn State football coach. My cousins and I would see him in the mornings when he'd go on morning walks. I tried to sell Girl Scout cookies to him one time, knocked on the door, nobody answered. There's a park behind his house that we used to play in all the time. So he was in my life in that aspect. He wasn't in my life, but you know. So that's how I knew him. And so, I try to explain to folks, it's kind of like finding out that your distant uncle is involved in this kind of stuff. You want to listen to all the information, all the facts, and kind of go from there. There were a lot of parties at fault. Sandusky had had reports made against him before, and the investigation was dropped. The prosecuting DA in that earlier case decided not to prosecute. DSS didn't follow through with anything on a report they had been given before. I think a school system 2 years before. There was a school system that was involved where the mother made the report to the school, high school, and nothing was done then. So there are a lot of parties at fault in that situation, and it just shows how poorly our system is at protecting children as a whole. So that is also another situation that is close to me, but not close to me. It affected me in the fact that I went to Penn State, and so people who are not fans of Penn State, that's usually the first thing they bring up is the Sandusky scandal, but they call it the other stuff instead. Anytime you try to talk reasonably about it, you just get a lot of negativeness. The Adam Walsh, I was close to, but not close to. I was close to it in the fact that I remember vividly about how scared my mom was that something like that would happen to us. And I knew I was about the same age. I didn't realize I was the same age as Adam. And so, in fact, when is his birthday? So I'm actually about 6 months, almost 6 months older than Adam Walsh. So that tells you how close in age we were. Sorry, that was my phone. I remembered the decapitation. I remember that it was nationwide. My mom would get admonished for putting my sister in a harness. Back in the 80s, it was popular for parents to use wrist cuff type thing, leash on their kids to keep them nearby, that sort of thing. My sister, I can't remember if mom ever used the cuffs on me. I don't think she did because I never left her side. I rode her hip till I was 6 years old. So I don't think she used them on me. But my sister would walk up to total strangers and start telling them her whole life history. And my sister would always get out of the cuffs because they're just Velcro. So mom would put her in a harness, chest harness, and pe other people would scold my mom for putting her in the harness. And I remember mom saying that she didn't care because she knew my sister was safe. So she couldn't get out of the chest harness. So, but I don't know if there's a lot of video of that, of kids being on the leashes, but it was also something that was popular in the 80s with the child abductions that were going on and everything. Okay. So that's kind of my thoughts on this. I didn't realize the movie was from '86. I saw it pop up on Netflix recently, and so I thought it was something new. So I apologize for it being an old one, but I had not seen that, and so it was interesting to see how things evolved for the family post Adam's murder. And then before he was on America's Most Wanted, because those are the two bookends that I know. Where's my other hand? There we go. um, those are the two bookends that I knew for John Walsh. So it was interesting to see that aspect of it, and it was a typical '80s television movie for what that is worth. Thank you for joining me on this one. If you made it this far into my ramblings, thanks for joining me, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.